Even if somebody says it is a myth, Ram is a myth or Ramayana is a myth, the values that it propagates, if we live that, it makes our life better. That's the proof of it. He cries like an ordinary man pining for his wife, to that extent that Mother Parvati feels that is he really God, that why is he crying like this for his wife? As a husband, Bhagwan Ram did not do justice to Sita ji as a wife, but he is a king there. So each of us have a different body, mind, intellect, and the combinations are different, but the consciousness in each of us is the same. That is called Ram.
Now that the Pran Pratishtha or consecration ceremony has taken place at the Ram janmabhoomi mandir and Ayodhya has gotten a major facelift, let's put politics and controversy aside and focus on what Ram Bhagwan really stands for and the deeper significance of our most beloved epic, the Ramayana. To delve into this subject, we have with us a very special and learned guest. He is an exponent of Advaita Vedanta philosophy, an expert in our Shastras and very well versed in the Ramayana. Very pleased to welcome on Buzz by the Bay, mentor and Acharya from the renowned Chinmaya Mission in Mumbai and one of its most dynamic leaders, Swami Swatmananda. Pranam, Pranam Swamiji and Jai Siya Ram. You've just returned from Ayodhya and you attended the Pran Pratishtha. Very fortunate. How was your experience?
The experience was most fulfilling because Sankalp of more than 500 years just got fulfilled, and felt very grateful to all those who have struggled, sacrificed, served in so many ways and even now continuing to serve. And also felt very happy to see that mandir, because so many generations have just seen a mosque there and it has reminded them of the past and the difficulties. And now our generation is the lucky one which is seeing the mandir there, and in many ways it is a symbol of national self-esteem being revived.
The mahal must have been amazing, very upbeat, energetic as you said. Did you get to do a darshan of Ram Lalla?
Yes, on the
Yes?
very day of Pran Pratishtha itself.
Okay, fantastic. So like I said, it's time to put the controversies aside, but since you are an Acharya and since you are well versed in the Shastras, there was a lot of debate going on, There was a lot of, kafi vivad the, a lot of controversy on the procedure in which it was done, that firstly that the temple was incomplete and it's inauspicious to do a Pran Pratishtha when a temple is incomplete. So with your knowledge of the Shastras, is that so?
So, some objections were created and they were valid objections in my understanding, and trust has ensured that those objections were taken care of, and see, the shikhar was not yet fully built. Now when I went there, we saw that there was a temporary shikhar which was made.
Okay.
And you can see that even in the pictures, in the videos, that the temple is made in a certain way with certain stone, but the shikhar is quite different because it has been made now temporarily for the Pran Pratishtha to be done properly. And as far as the procedures are concerned, the Shastra Vidhi has been followed. There was no doubt in that right from the beginning. Okay. And many priests were sent by Shankaracharya ji from Kanchi, and many of them from Kashi also were there. So all those procedures were followed properly. Now we have to also understand that the main temple has been ready. The other temples, the other deities and the peripheries, etc., that can continue to be built. That is there as per the scripture. So it doesn't say that only after the temple is fully built it has to happen.
So of course the ancillary structures around that can happen as and when.
As time progresses.
As long as the main temple is there, you're saying that it's okay. So you say that the Shastra Vidhis were followed, because there were some Acharyas who said that Shastra Vidhi, the sacred process, were not followed.
As far as the construction of the temple is concerned, yes, the lapse was the shikhar was not yet built, but then the remedial measures were taken.
Anyway, wonderful. It's very fortunate that you got to go. And I want to center this discussion mainly on the Ramayan, and I can see that you have Valmiki's Ramayana here. That's wonderful. So a lot of people have been saying, right now that there are people who say Ramayan Kalpanik hai, it's imaginary or just a myth. So why so much fuss about it? What is your response to people who say Ramayan Kalpanik hai?
See, first of all, this Ramayan Kalpanik hai narrative has been peddled by a few people who wrote our history and who had a certain agenda to drive into our minds. If you go by the Indian scriptures, the classification is Veda, Itihasa, Purana, or we call it as Shruti and Smriti also. So, Ramayana and Mahabharata, they are called Itihasa. Itihasa means Itihasa. Itihasa is, in Hindi we translate as history. In Sanskrit it is it thus happened, Itihasa. And so, Ramayana is a part of our history, it is not Kalpanik. There is poetic element in it, there is no doubt, and there are many versions of Ramayana which bring poetry also into play, and certain imaginations of people also come into play, there is no doubt in that. But we have to also understand that why are only these two called as Itihasa, Ramayana and Mahabharata. So, Valmiki ji, who wrote the Ramayana, that is the Adi Kavya. So, the authority that we must go back to. So, which Ramayana do we refer to? There are hundreds of Ramayans, right? Yes. Valmiki Ramayan is the authority that we go back to, because Valmiki Ramayan, Valmiki ji is a contemporary of Bhagwan Ram.
Okay, yes.
And he saw many things happening and he noted it down. So, that's why we call it as Itihasa, same way Veda Vyasa for Mahabharata. So, these two are called Itihasa, so it is not Kalpanik. And we should also go by the proofs, there are so many proofs today. So, there are 51 generations before Bhagwan Ram who have been mentioned and 36 after Bhagwan Ram.
Yes.
And many of those kings you will be able to trace historically also.
Okay.
There are archaeological evidences available, Ram Setu is there, the entire Ram Sita Vangaman path has been traced, lots of places you can match as per the description in the Valmiki Ramayan.
Yes.
You can also find the planetary evidences. So, like Bhagwan Ram, when was he born? The planetary constellations are mentioned.
Okay.
And like that there are for various events, like when he went to Vanvas and when he returned to Ayodhya, all those planetary constellations are there. Now, you go back to a planetarium software, input all these, and you will find even the exact dating possible, and there are enough. Dr. P.V. Vartak has done research and many people have done research on it. So, today it is established very well that Ramayana is not Kalpanik.
Let's say for the sake of argument, someone wants to believe strongly that it's Kalpanik. You cannot discount thousands of years of faith, and you cannot discount the faith of millions of people, right? There's something to it. So that's the way I look at it.
And so many people are living that way of life, and so many people have, many saints and sages have even discovered Ram's state of consciousness. They have had darshan of Bhagwan Ram. The values that Bhagwan Ram has lived, embodied, and people have followed for thousands of years. And it's not only in Bharat, it is across the world, many places you will see. Kings, so Egyptian kings, they are called Ramses, the lineage. Thailand, even now the king is called as Ram, the main person. Even if somebody says it is a myth, Ram is a myth or Ramayana is a myth, the values that it propagates, if we live that, it makes our life better. That's the proof of it.
Yes, and like you said, the values that it propagates, and that's what I really want to discuss, the values and the significance. So there are a few introductory questions. We have an audience and they have some questions as well. You, of course, are from the Chinmaya Mission. Swami Chinmayananda, great human being, and what I just learned from you a little while ago, that when he was a journalist, his first stint was with the Free Press Journal. That's wonderful. That's as Balakrishnan Menon, right? Amazing. So he had, he had explained the Vedic significance of Ram very beautifully. He had said Ram is basically the Atman, the truest self. Sita could represent the mind or Maya, and Ayodhya, interestingly, is Ayodhya, the land of no conflict. So if you could elaborate that for us.
So if we go just same by the etymology of Ram is Sarveshu Ramante iti Ramaha, one who revels in the hearts of all. So each of us have a different body, mind, intellect, and the combinations are different, but the consciousness in each of us is the same. That is called Ram. And Sita represents the mind. And that mind wedded to consciousness, at some point the mind does become extrovert. So when it goes into the forest, so Ram and Sita ji, they go into the forest and they are in Ayodhya, the land of no conflict. But once the selfishness comes in, even in a land of no conflict, the conflict will start. So Kaikeyi, Manthara, they represent that, where they suddenly put their interest and their selfishness above the larger good. Then we see that Bhagwan Ram is cursed, he is exiled, and he goes for 14 years to the forest. And interesting is, for 13 years they live very harmoniously in various parts of Bharat. It is in the last 1 year that the entire kidnapping etc. happens, and the symbolism there is that mind can become extrovert at some point in time. For 13 years it was wedded to Bhagwan Ram, looking at only Ram. Sita ji lived her whole life. Then when her attention shifted to the golden deer, in spite of Bhagwan Ram convincing her, she really wanted that. So there will be the pull of the mind towards the fascinating world outside, of temptations, enjoyments, etc. Even though scriptures say, even though we know, even elders say, and our own conscience may say, that doesn't give lasting happiness. But the mind does get attracted, and then we know the whole story. Ravan is the one who comes and captures it. So Ravan is Dashamukha, who has 10 heads symbolizing the various impurities and the ego, and then Sita ji is captured, taken to a place called Ashoka. Now that is also interesting, like Ayodhya, there is Ashoka Vatika there, where there should not be any grief. But Sita ji is taken there in that Lanka which is full of gold and glitter. She lives there separated from Bhagwan Ram, so she is in grief in Ashoka Vatika. And to rescue her, then of course we know Hanumanji who goes there and he finds her out there. He symbolizes the Guru Tattva, who ensures that the Jiva who has separated from Atma gets united. And to make that happen, Ravan has to be killed. Ravan is the ego, Ravan has to be destroyed, and finally Sita ji is united. So that's the Vedantic significance of how a Jiva gets separated because of desires and how the Jiva gets again reunited.
Beautiful, such a beautiful significance. Thank you for explaining it to us like that. And I'm sure the audience might have more questions regarding that. But I wanted to actually get you to quote a few verses from Valmiki's Ramayan. I believe Valmiki describes Ayodhya very beautifully. Not inferior to any of our modern cities these days. So could you tell us a little bit about what he says about Ayodhya?
So, in this Valmiki Ramayan, we have this beautiful description in the Bal Kand, that is the first Kand. In the 5th canto, the whole canto is meant to describe Ayodhya. So it's a description of the whole city of Ayodhya, and there he says, that Kosalona muditaha sfito janapado mahan nivishtasara yutire prabhu tadhanadhanyavan ayodhyana nagari tatra silloka vishruta manunama navendrena yapuri nirmita swayam. Meaning, there is a great principality called Kosala extending on the banks of Sarayu, and it is happy and prosperous, not just prosperous. People are happy as well as prosperous, and there are lots of abundant riches, plenty of food grains, and in that Kosal Pradesh there is this world renowned city. The word is the Loka Vishruta is the word there. It's a world renowned city, Ayodhya, a city which was built by Vaivasvat Manu, the ruler of mankind. And the size etc. is also given. So here he says that it had well aligned roads which are 12 yojanas. The city is of 12 yojanas. 1 yojana is 10 miles, so 120 miles, and 12 yojanas long and 3 yojanas wide. It has extensive highways, daily sprinkled with water, strewn with flowers, and King Dashrath, who promoted his kingdom to a preeminent degree by his virtuous rule, he made the city as glorious as Indra's Amravati. And the description of the architecture there is very beautiful. It says there are arched gateways with beautiful doors. There are laid out markets equipped with all sorts of catapults, weapons. It is peopled by different classes of craftsmen. And there are poets, there are singers, there are tall attics, there are flags equipped with numberless missiles also in certain places where they need to protect. Then very interesting it comes is there is a moat around Ayodhya which cannot be easily entered or crossed. The city is difficult to access for the enemies, and there are lots of horses, elephants, cows. There are 7-storied buildings.
7-storied buildings.
That's very clearly written here. Presenting a colorful appearance, it is laid out after the design of a dice board. It's called Ashtapadi. Okay. So it is laid out as a design of a dice board. And there are lots of lovely, beautiful women and handsome men, full of all varieties of precious stones is the city of Ayodhya.
What a detailed description. It sounds like a magical city.
See, this is just Valmiki Ramayan. If we go into Skanda Puran, Padma Puran, the descriptions are much, much more. And actually, some of those were even used as testimonies to prove that the place of Bhagwan Ram's birth exactly is where the mandir has been made.
Another question is about Ram's relationship with Sita. So pure. Any verse to describe Ram's sort of pure love for Sita?
So there are quite a few verses. I just want to quote 2 of them because his love really is shown when Sita ji is kidnapped and he is mad. He is asking the trees and the rivers and the mountains and the deers and the stars, and he cries like an ordinary man pining for his wife, to that extent that Mother Parvati feels that is he really God, that why is he crying like this for his wife? And there he asks, 2 verses are beautiful, I am just quoting those, where he says that he asks Lakshman. He is speaking to Lakshman and he says there that Yam vinana utsahe veera muhurtam api jeevitum kwasa prana sahaya me Sita surasuta upama. So he says that without whom I am disinclined to live even for a moment. O valiant one, such a Sita who is in simile like the daughter of the Devatas and who is my life force, where is she? Patitvam amaranam va prithivyacha api lakshmana vinatam tapaniya abham naicheyam janakatmajam. So he says, I am ambitious, I am unambitious for the rulership of the heavens or of the earth, O Lakshman, without the daughter of Janaka. So for him, Sita is his life force.
Life force, prana.
His prana she is.
Yes.
So there is no, what do we love the most is our life. And Sita is equal to his life for Bhagwan Ram. Yeah. And he takes up his bow and arrow at one point in time and he says that I am going to destroy this whole creation because none of you are giving me a reply. That where is my Sita?
One last question before we take it to the audience. So he was so devoted to Sita, right? He couldn't live a moment without her. Yet people are critical of Bhagwan's treatment of Ma Sita. One is the Agni Pariksha after she is rescued from Ravan, right? And secondly is in Uttarakhand when because of gossip, she is exiled to the forest and gives birth to Love and Kush in the forest. People are critical of that. How could Bhagwan, treat her like that? Make her suffer like that?
True. So people will have questions about it. So we have to understand the standpoints. See, one of the most beautiful aspects of Bhagwan's life is that he operates from dharma and he plays the role that he has to play without any compromise. So as we saw that when as a husband he is pining for his wife and he did everything to rescue her. There is no doubt in that. So he did play the role of a husband very, very well. And now he has to return as a king, because 14 years are over. Now what he did not tell anywhere to Sita to prove her chastity. That is the first myth.
Okay, that's a myth.
It's a myth.
Oh.
He didn't tell Sita that you are impure and you have to prove your chastity. Second, he did not tell Sita you enter the fire and do Agni Pariksha. So the word Agni Pariksha also in my understanding is a misnomer.
Okay.
It is Agni Pravesh that Sita ji herself does. Third, we have to understand that what Bhagwan Ram is looking at. So he is looking at Sita ji now that he has rescued her. They both will return as a king and the queen. So very interesting, if you see in this Valmiki Ramayan in the Lanka Kand, when they win, when Ravan is killed, he tells Vibhishan, so Bhagwan will not go into the city because he has to be as a Vanvasi. That was the condition that was laid. So he doesn't enter into the city. He tells Vibhishan, go and tell Sita that she has to come in front of me, tell her to take a bath, wear beautiful clothes, ornaments, and come to me as a queen. That is the first point we have to understand. Come to me as a queen. Sita ji tells Vibhishan that no, I need to see Ram first. I don't bother about getting dressed and all that. But she says no, this is the order of Bhagwan Ram. You please come. So when Sita ji comes there, Bhagwan Ram tells her that I have protected your honor. I have saved the honor of my clan, the entire Ayodhya, Ikshvaku Vamsha, and I have ensured that, the specific words if we say, he says here that I have attained the reward of my indignation, nay the wanton offence given to me by your abduction has been fully requited, and the indignity offered to me as also the enemy has been wiped out all at once. Then he says that the wrong done to you, in that when you were quite alone, were borne away by the fickle-minded Ravan, which was ordained by destiny, has been repaid by me, a mortal. Very clearly Ramayan says here that Pashyatastam tu Ramasya samipe hridaya priyam janavada bhayadragnyo babhuva hridayam dvidha. See, the word used here is hridaya priyam. Ram, she is extremely dear to Bhagwan Ram. But janavada bhayad, Shri Ram is very clear that there will be a scandal in the minds of people now.
Right.
He does not have a doubt on Sita.
Okay.
He will not have this expression hridaya priyam otherwise.
Yeah.
He is very clear that as a husband, he has no doubts on Sita, her purity, her chastity. If he had, now we have to think, if he had that doubt, would he put in this much efforts to rescue her?
No.
Never. So he needs to ensure that Sita ji's reputation is protected. There is no two ways in his mind about it.
Right.
So what does he do? He says that I have done all this to vindicate my good conduct, to wipe off the bad name coming to me and to my illustrious Vamsha, and now that has been done, he says that you go wherever you like, I grant you leave to do so this very day. 10 directions are open to you. You go wherever you like, because as a king, I will not be able to take you back for the fear of public scandal. He says, I can't take you, so you go wherever you like. There he becomes little, then he says very clearly that what man of spirit and born in a noble family for his part would take back with an eager mind a woman who has dwelt in another's house because she has been kindly disposed to him in the past. Nobody will be able to do that, and especially as a king he can't do that.
Okay.
So he says now there is no choice left. I don't doubt, but you need to go wherever you go. Where he says that set your mind on Lakshman, Bharat, Shatrughna, Sugriv, Vibhishan, do what you please.
Oh gosh.
But I will not be able to take you back. Sita ji pleads, and he says that why do you address me, O hero, with such unkind and unbecoming words? They are jarring to the ear. I am not as you take me to be. Be restored to confidence about me. I swear to you by my own character. So finally, Sita ji tells Lakshman. She says that, this is the 18th verse here, Chitam me kuru saumitre, vyasanasyasya bheshajam, mithyapavadopahata naham jeevitum utsahe. This is the line, clear line. He says that you light a pyre for me, the only antidote against this calamity. I no longer desire to survive, smitten as I am by the false reproaches of people. Yakshama me gatir gantum pravekshe havyavahanam. So she says that I will enter a fire which is the only recourse appropriate for me, because I am renounced by my husband, and also in a public gathering he has said that you can go anywhere.
Yeah.
Now I need to take this as the recourse. Now we have to also understand that this is not a suicide mission. Agni is a means of vindicating one's stand as true. So she says, you light the fire and I am going to enter it. So she enters. So this is called as Agni Pravesh, because she says Chitam me kuru saumitre. Ram doesn't say ki you need to prove your purity by fire.
He tells her she can go in any direction.
He says you go any direction, do what you feel, because now the situation has changed. Now he has to go back as a king. So when she enters into the fire, then of course, Bhagwan Ram is in tears. All those descriptions are there that he doesn't like this. He is in tears, he is mad. Then finally, after that is over, Agni Devta comes out. And what does he say? He says, here is your spouse Sita. No sin exists in her. The blessed lady whose conduct has been excellent has never been unfaithful to you. Therefore, accept the sinless princess of Mithila of absolutely untainted mind. I hereby command you that she should not be told anything harsh. Now, when this has happened, Bhagwan Ram already he is very clear that he was doing this for the people. So now he says, Avashyam chapi lokeshu Sita pavanam arhati dirgha kalo shita hiyam ravananta pure shubha. Sita undoubtedly needed this purificatory ordeal in the eyes of the people. The world would murmur against me, saying that Ram, the son of Dashrath, was really foolish and that his mind was dominated by lust, if I actually accepted the daughter of Janaka without proving her chastity. So for whom did he do this?
For
Sita
Sita.
ji. Finally I conclude with this beautiful analogy that Bhagwan gives. He says that Sita is non-different from me, even as sunlight is non-different from the sun. What more can we say? We look at Sita ji and Ram ji as two separate entities. They are not two separate entities. They are one.
The Jiva and the
Atma are one.
Yes.
And when he exiled her to forest after coming back, again we have to understand the mind of the people. See, the Dhobi incident is not mentioned anywhere. In Valmiki it is not mentioned, in Kamba Ramayana it is not mentioned, in Tulsi Ramayana it is not mentioned. It may be some folklore or mentioned in some other part of the Ramayana. In Valmiki Ramayana, the way it happens is that Bhagwan Ram, when he returns, the coronation happens and he starts ruling. One evening he has called his ministers and he asks them that what is the environment in Ayodhya, what are people saying, what are they feeling, give me the feedback. So some of them, they don't say anything. So Ram tells them, don't hesitate, whatever is the truth you tell me as it is. Then they say that people are talking like this, that if the queen has been accepted by the king, then how it prevents us from having any authority over our women, that they can do anything then and we have to accept it. Now when Bhagwan Ram hears this, he says if this is the general opinion in the people, then yatha raja tatha praja. And we have to understand that there is the way the king was at that time and the way it is today is very different. Yes. See, Raja is called the Pratinidhi of Ishvara. What the Raja will do, Praja will follow as it is.
Yes.
And so if the Raja has to be setting a fantastic example, he has to be uncontroversial. As a king, he has to rise above his personal role. So our question seems valid from the standpoint as a husband, Bhagwan Ram did not do justice to Sita ji as a wife, but he is a king there.
Yes.
And as a king, he put nation above his self. Interesting in Valmiki Ramayana is we have to know the full context. Sita ji is already pregnant. Sita ji, in one conversation with Bhagwan Ram in a garden, she is saying this, that I miss the company of saints and sages which we had in the forest for 13 years. I want to go to an ashram.
Okay.
I want satsang, and now that I am pregnant, I need that much more.
Yeah.
Bhagwan Ram says, yes, we will fulfill that need.
Okay.
Definitely. He says that.
Huh.
And then this incident comes, and so he calls Lakshmanji and he tells that you should take Sita ji to the ashram of Valmiki.
Yeah.
See, he didn't abandon her. He didn't exile her ki go get lost in a forest. He told Lakshman that you drop Sita ji to Valmiki's ashram. The entire way, Lakshmanji doesn't tell anything to Sita ji. Just outside Valmiki's ashram, when he drops her there, he tells her what has happened. You should read in Valmiki Ramayan what Sita ji's reply is. Sita ji tells Lakshmanji, the first sentence she says is, go and tell Ram that I am with him in this decision.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's there in Valmiki Ramayan. In this whole episode, who took the blame is Bhagwan Ram. People call him heartless, or not a good husband, but he says, I love my wife and for her honor, I am ready to take this blame. Now what more is required?
Thank you so much for clarifying that, because you know there is a lot of criticism, alochna hai Bhagwan Ram ki on this part, and like you explained, he was doing it as a king, right? He was doing it to protect Sita, and it's interesting to note that people were the same then as they are now, ruthless and gossipy and judgmental. Not much has changed. And also, as you said, wo Ishwar, the Raja is always the Pratinidhi, the representative of Ishwar. So he had to act in an appropriate way. So beautifully explained, so much that so many nuances that I did not know. So let's take a few questions from our audience who have been listening in rapt attention. Okay.
Swamiji, thank you for coming to our office. My name is Rohan. I have two questions for you. One is, how is Ramayan relevant or important in a normal person's day-to-day life? And secondly, if you had the power, would you have built a Ram temple in Ayodhya like the one we've built? Or would you have chosen a normal temple and used the rest of the money to maybe build hospitals or schools in the area?
Okay. What is the relevance of Ramayana in our day-to-day life today? See, Ramayana, the word meaning of Ramayana is the path of Ram, or the way, the path on which Bhagwan Ram walked. So values are eternal, universal. Bhagwan Ram walked the path of dharma, which is values, anchored in values. He was anchored in his duties as a person. He played the role of a son, of a brother, of a husband, of a friend, of even an enemy in a very ideal way. So we will get lot of role clarity from him, because like we just saw how he shifted from the role of a husband to a king, where he should shift and where he should not shift. In case of Bharat, when he asked Bharat asked him to come back and rule, he says, no, as a son my duty is to fulfill my father's promise without compromise. So role clarity we will get, one. Goal clarity also we will get. Today many people don't have clarity about what is the goal in life, what is the goal of life itself. If we read Ramayana, goals become very, very clear. Look at Hanumanji's life, look at Sugriva's life, look at Vibhishan's life, Ravan's life, what goal he had, where he landed, Ram's life, what goal he had, where he landed. So goal clarity, role clarity, moral clarity, what is right, what is wrong. Rising above my emotions, I should be able to see what is right and what is wrong and take a decision. Emotions are a great strength. You see Ramji's life. In Valmiki Ramayan, Ram is a human being. He goes through fear, he goes through pains of separation, he goes through suspicion, he goes through jealousy, he goes through anger, but he doesn't compromise from dharma. That is what Ramayana is, that we will as human beings go through all emotions. How to be still anchored in what is right. So it is very, very relevant. And even if we look at the society as such, this I spoke from individual standpoint, but even from a society standpoint, how to put the nation above the self, how to ensure that we are inclusive. See, Bhagwan Ram's friends, who were they? there is Guha, who is Nishadraj, who is a tribal chief. He meets Shabri. He meets saints and sages. There are bears, there are monkeys. There are all types of people. Now, second question about the temple. Yes, definitely I would have built the temple there and built it in a grand way. Not that hospitals, schools, etc. are not important. They are important and they are getting built. But what is the relevance of Ramayana in our day-to-day life today? See, Ramayana, the word meaning of Ramayana is the path of Ram, or the way, the path on which Bhagwan Ram walked. So, values are eternal, universal. Bhagwan Ram walked the path of dharma, which is values, anchored in values. He was anchored in his duties as a person. He played the role of a son, of a brother, of a husband, of a friend, of even an enemy in a very ideal way. So, we will get lot of role clarity from him, because like we just saw how he shifted from the role of a husband to a king, where he should shift and where he should not shift. In case of Bharat, when he asked Bharat asked him to come back and rule, he says, no, as a son my duty is to fulfill my father's promise without compromise. Not one more Ram temple. It is the temple where Sri Ram was born. A temple there has come up is to revive that national self-esteem once again, to revive the pride in the culture so that we live truly. And our culture is a secular culture. Our culture is not an exclusive culture, it is an inclusive culture. And our history proves that. So many people have come and attacked us, they have all got included in this country or not. So, it is a very powerful symbol of national unity, national integration, of India regaining its self-esteem and looking forward and moving ahead. And is it also not true, the last point I want to say is that is development being compromised at the cost of the temple? You see the infrastructure, you see the growth that India has seen in the last 10 years. I am not discounting the years before that, but definitely in the last 10 years, how much more India has grown. So, it is not that at the cost of development we are just completely getting one-sided and leaving our country behind. No, it is going hand in hand, and that is the beauty of Sanatana Dharma, where we say Lakshmi Narayan, where we say that prosperity and peace will go together.
Temple is also mandir, like a hospital for the mind in
Correct.
a sense, right?
Correct.
So, yeah.
Swamiji, I have like two questions related and one different. So the first question is, with the Ram Mandir, there is this whole thing of religion, but I have a thing that it's faith also. So how do you differ between faith, having faith in some ideology, or is it different from religion? And if somebody is a little confused, how does he maintain the path so that nobody kind of distracts him? Because if you are very confused and there are a lot of people who are probably don't have the right intentions. So how does he maintain the faith so that he gets along the right path? And the second question is, a lot of people have this thing, they are more interested in Mahabharata, then probably they are more attached, or rather attached to Mahabharata than Ramayana. They see Ramayana as more like related to God rather than Mahabharata. They are connected more. So do you think this is the case?
Okay, so in my understanding, see, faith, what is the meaning of faith? Swami Chinmayananda used to say that faith is to believe in something that you don't see, the result of which is you see what you believed in. And it is not, there is nothing called blind faith. Faith is belief reinforced with conviction, is called faith. So, there is a logic behind it, there is a reasoning behind it, and why I have faith. I may not experience it immediately, but because of XYZ reasons I believe this exists and I want to imbibe that. Now, that faith in Ram or faith in the values of Ram comes from where? It comes from the religion. Today we want to separate ourselves completely from religion and say that no, I am not religious, I am spiritual. Or like you said, I am not religious, or I don't want to belong to religion, but I want to be in faith. Or maybe I want to belong, but I don't know the clarity, what is both these, right? Now, because the picture of religion has been portrayed in such a way that religion is the cause of war, destruction, bigotry and fanaticism and fundamentalism, and so I don't want religion. In our culture, dharma The word is dharma. See, religion is not an appropriate translation of the word dharma. Dharma means dharana dharma. That which unites, integrates, binds, upholds is dharma. And what will unite, bind, uphold is the sense of oneness. We all are human beings. That is one level of dharma. So there is Manav dharma. We all are, let us say, Bharatiyas. That is Rashtra dharma. I belong to this particular family. Now that is my Kula dharma. Now if I follow that dharma, is it not good for me? Is it not good for the country? Is it not good for the humanity as such? If I understand this clearly, I will not shy away from religion. So in my opinion, they both should go hand in hand. Faith will make me inquire also more about my religion and live that more. And if I live that, I will see the beauty of it and it will become my experience. So I think that there should be an amalgamation of both. Second question was about Ramayana and Mahabharata. So no doubt what you said is a fact that people think like that. And we have to understand there are two different eras, right? This one is Treta Yuga where Ramji was born, and one is the Dwapar Yuga where Krishna was born and Mahabharata happened. So as the Yuga declines, it is not that during Ramji's time immoralities are not there. Ravan was there and various other things were there. So dharma and adharma fight goes on. In Mahabharata time it has declined much more. And certain things that have happened in Mahabharata, we are able to relate much more to our times. Because Mahabharata just got over when Treta Yuga it ended. At the end of Mahabharata war when Krishna departed, sorry, not Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga. Dwapar Yuga ended and Kali Yuga just started, and we are just into 2000 years of Kali Yuga. So there is much more resemblance of the degradation of those times there to our times, and so people feel it more easy to relate.
I actually find the Ramayana more accessible. Even children can read it, you know. Another question?
After Ayodhya, do you think we should have the temple at Kashi, the Gyan Bhakti thing, and also in Mathura?
Different invaders have come, temples have got destroyed. They had their reasons to destroy. They want to establish the supremacy of their faith and understanding. Now, numbers will vary, 40,000, 50,000 temples were destroyed, etc. We are asking only 3, right? And why are we asking 3? Because these 3 are sacred places of our foremost deities. And there are 7 Puris, 7 cities which are called as Moksha Puris. For Hindus, those are most sacred. 7 cities are most crucial for us. Which are they? Ayodhya, Mathura, Maya, Kashi, Kanchi, Avantika, Puri Dwara, Puri Chaiva, Saptaite, Mokshadayika. These are 7. These are 7 most sacred to us.
It has been said that the temple where was built on the site where Lord Ram was born. Though there was a structure, there was a Hindu structure beneath the masjid, but does that mean the Lord Ram was born exactly on the site where the Ram Mandir was built? You know, there was a video went viral where a boy said that schools are more important than temples. He said that if you go to school, you become a smarter person, be successful in your career, and if he goes to temples, he end up become beggar. So what's your take on it?
See, go by the Supreme Court verdict, read the whole judgment. The entire effort for so many years was to establish that Janam Sthan. Even the mosque there was called Masjid-e-Janam Sthan, by the way. If you know, in the official documents also, Masjid-e-Janam Sthan is written there. One point. Point 2, like I said earlier, Padma Puran, Skanda Puran specifically, gives very clear description of the birthplace of Bhagwan Ram in Ayodhya. The Supreme Court has gone through the testimonies of so many learned scholars and Acharyas of Hindu culture, Shankaracharyas, many people. And then they have come to the verdict saying ki no, this place is the birthplace. It's not just because a temple was existing there.
The site where the mandir was built?
is the birthplace, is there recorded in the judgment that because of XYZ reasons, it is proved that this place is where Bhagwan Ram was born. Scriptural evidences are there, literary evidences are there, this Vishnu Hari inscription which is there, archaeological evidences are there, many things have come together, and that's why the court proceedings went on for so long. And it is a fact that Ramji was born there, there is no doubt in that. First of all, why should there be this choice that I will go to school or temple? Do you say that I will go to school or I will go to let us say a tennis class or a whatever cricket class or a dance class? Do you say that? We recognize the need, right? That I need this also and I need this also. So if I understand very clearly, today my school education is not equipping me even with the best education to face the challenges of my life. That's a fact. Enough evidences are available of young people going through stress, worries, tensions, anxieties and health challenges, mental health issues, depression, suicide rates are maximum. What has the school education by itself been alone able to do? It is not enough. It is important, that is not enough. I need inner strength, I need moral anchoring, I need spiritual anchoring, I need to understand the very purpose of life, I need to have the bigger picture. Is my school education giving me that? It was there earlier in the Gurukul system where the spiritual and the secular education was blended. It was removed. Now it is information that is there, some inspiration is there, I don't deny, and important knowledge is there about various aspects, but it is not sufficient. A temple, please understand, we have limited temple to a ritual or just going and doing puja part. If you go to a temple, you will not become a beggar, you will become very rich. So we have to understand temple in a more holistic way, from science, from social service standpoint, from humanitarian standpoint, from spiritual standpoint. And at the end of the day, don't we need an altar of surrender? Our ego is very, very tricky. A temple is the great altar of surrender. Final demand in the human being is, I want to experience infinite peace and happiness. Temple is the symbol of infinity there, because their divinity is manifest in a specific form, so that you connect to the infinite through that. It's a fantastic connection to the infinite, and that's why a temple is very, very important.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that answer. I mean, like you said, and our temples are constructed so scientifically. And as you said, it's not merely a place for rituals, it's a center of science, of culture, of charity, of learning, beautifully answered. And those were great questions. All right, there is a question.
Hello Swamiji, my name is Dheeraj. So there have been a lot of conflicting reports and different versions of Lord Ram being a meat eater. So what are your thoughts on it, and if you could clarify that, and also was his father and the family were originally meat eaters, or how was it like?
See, there will be two opinions on this forever. Why? Because we have to understand that if we take one opinion that Sri Ram was a Kshatriya. Now as a Kshatriya, certain things are required to be done. And it's not that he consumes meat on a regular basis, everyday basis, etc. It doesn't happen like that. One. But he has to be trained in that. Second opinion will say that no, he never ate it. And the word mamsa will also have different meaning, because in Sanskrit the word mamsa also means fruits and roots. There's one meaning of the word mamsa. So that group will say, and various other arguments also they will bring out, saying no, he never ate. So that's what I would say Ramayana says, and I would not shy away from saying that as a Kshatriya he would have consumed, and there's nothing wrong in that. As that dharma, he had to do that.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, that has been quite a controversial topic, and you explained it wonderfully, right? I mean, as a Kshatriya, but there's so much more that goes into that, right? Not just meat eating and not meat eating. I just have a concluding couple of questions, and thank you for answering the audience's questions. Great questions, amazing answers. Amazing answers, and really you've revealed so much knowledge to us. Ram stood for fairness, justice, kindness, dharma, right? And we hope there has been some divisiveness in our society, and let's hope now with this mandir that we can really move away from that. I know that's an idealistic way of thinking, what the आदर्शवादी विचार है, but let's hope that we can. So this concept of Ram Rajya, how what does Ram Rajya mean in the modern Indian context?
See, we have to understand that divisiveness is springing from where? Is divisiveness coming from Ram? Is divisiveness coming from Hindu culture? Is divisiveness coming from the religious practices that the Hindus are following? It is not coming from any of these, because this is an inclusive model. This doesn't say one book, one path, one thing and everybody has to follow that. It doesn't say that. It says you follow whichever path you like. From an atheist to a worshipper of any form to the formless, everybody is accommodated. You may not even be believer of Hindu culture, you still are, if you follow, if you have a certain way of life, we still respect you. We don't have a challenge with that. So, divisiveness springs from selfishness. Divisiveness springs from a certain egoistic, fanatic type of a mindset where I want to be exclusive and I don't want to be inclusive. That has to be removed, and Ram precisely represents that selflessness. So, Ram way of life or Ram Rajya is actually a selfless way of living, which will treat everybody equally in appropriate ways, which will have opportunities for people to flourish, to grow together, and like you said, kindness, compassion, all that will come together.
These three sites should, as you said earlier, that these three sites should be given over to the Hindus because they are very significant for Hinduism. But also we have to be careful that this doesn't open a Pandora's box, because हर मस्जिद के नीचे हम मंदिर की तलाश नहीं कर सकते. I mean, how will we ever progress in society?
But is that even happening? See, is this not a hypothetical question, or it's just a situation in the minds of people, right? Some people who want to just create that. Are Hindus actually going behind every mosque? We are not.
The Honorable PM said Ram aag nahi urja hai, he is energy, and Ram vivad nahi, he is not controversy, he is samadhan, he is a solution, and let's hope that really happens. One last quick concluding remark, can you give us a mantra for success that we can learn from the Ramayana? How to cope with fear, disappointment in our life, and how to move forward in a successful way?
Mantra is very simple: anchor in dharma and surrender to the divine. That is the mantra that Bhagwan Ram lived by through his whole life. That, as you said, disappointments, fear, etc. does arise. He went through so much of it, but what ensured that he crossed all that beautifully, inspiringly, so that we also learn from it, is he was anchored in his duties, he was anchored in selflessness and values, and he had surrendered to the divine. He worshipped the divine, he learned from the sadhus, he had lots of satsang, he used to revere Shivji. So, anchor in dharma, surrender to the divine is the mantra, and do the duty uncompromisingly. He did his duties uncompromisingly, he did not leave any stone unturned. That is the mantra for success.
Thank you so much, Swamiji. That was a fabulous discussion. I enjoyed it. The audience enjoyed it so much that we didn't know. You've explained it so beautifully. Pranam and Jai Siya Ram.
Thank you so much
Jai
for
Siya
this
Ram.
beautiful opportunity. It was very nice to have this conversation, answer the questions. Jai Shri Ram, Jai Siya Ram.
Jai Shri Ram. That was a fantastic discussion with Swami Swatmananda, and he taught us so much today in this session. Be anchored in dharma, surrender to the divine. Let's hope we can inculcate the good values and establish Ram Rajya in India and go ahead with positivity. Keep watching Buzz by the Bay for more such enlightening discussions.